Welcome to today's episode of College Financial Preps Preparing for College podcast. So happy we have Rachael Burns today with us. I love speaking with Rachael. She's from True Worth Financial Planning. And Rachael, welcome to the show. And can you introduce yourself to everyone?
Sure. Thanks so much for having me, Vicki. So again, I'm Rachael Burns. I'm a certified financial planner and I'm a certified divorce financial analyst. I work entirely with newly single women who are either going through a divorce, have gone through a divorce, or who have lost a spouse. And so I help them get their finances back on track once they're managing finances on their own.
Fabulous. So Rachael and I were just talking about divorce, not divorce, college planning. And really, this is a topic, right, Rachael? Would you agree that it fits to everybody? Because in the main, we're going to be talking about setting goals, planning for college, and financial goals.
No, it applies. It's pretty universal. It applies to people whether they're married or not. I think there's some helpful information there for everyone.
So do me a favor, share with us. Clients come to you setting goals. What do you see? What have you learned from working with your clientele, and what can you share?
One of the first steps in the process when I work with someone is getting an idea of what their goals are for their life, and then figuring out how they need their finances to support that. And I work with divorced or widowed women, and so often their goals have changed dramatically since they were married. But one thing I see a lot of is when people have kids, of underage kids, is college. Planning for college is an incredibly important thing to them. But what I see is they don't often have specific goals around planning for college. They haven't thought about what exactly do I want to contribute? What do I want to provide? And then when they go into the process, by the time their kids are entering that phase and they don't have goals and they don't have a plan and they're winging it, like you and I have talked about, then they're making these big financial decisions and they're not thinking about it in the context of their overall finances, and they're not thinking about their other financial goals. So they don't have an intentional approach to planning for college, which maybe it doesn't cause problems at that time, but maybe in 10 or 15 years when they want to retire, they find that, oh, I majorly overspent on sending Junior to college, and now I'm not going to be able to achieve my financial goals. So that's the most common thing I see.
I mean, one thing we've discussed, and I see this all the time with clients, and we're both moms, so we certainly get it. We all want the best for our kids. We all want them to have the greatest opportunities and to achieve the greatest successes. The key is, how do we do that while still being financially responsible?
Absolutely. And there is such a thing as being too generous. You can give to your children to the extent that your financial future is uncertain, and you could end up not having enough money to take care of yourself, and you can end up being dependent on those children that you were trying so hard to help. And if you help too much, you are doing the opposite of helping, or it's possible that can happen.
Right. Not sure if everybody's heard of the expression, but there is an expression out there that's saying that you can take out student loans for college, but you can't take out loans for retirement. Well, let me just add this. All of the money is still ultimately the same pot. If you take out student loans and you have to pay student loans back, it's still potentially going to jeopardize your retirement. So just wanted to put that out there and have everybody think about it, how it's kind of just the continuum of life.
Yeah. There's an opportunity cost to every dollar that you put into education. That's a dollar that's not going somewhere else. And maybe you didn't need that dollar to go somewhere else, but a lot of people do need all of their dollars to go towards their goals. And it's not make-believe money. This is real money that's being taken away from some other goal.
Right, definitely. Let's jump in. Goal setting. What do you suggest to these parents?
I'm not a college expert like you, but what I encourage, well, first of all, I encourage anyone with kids under 18 or even over 18, talk to someone like Vicki, because you're going to be able to help them. I can help them formulate goals, but I can't help them save money on college. I can't help them strategize on, oh, this college will offer the best financial aid package or whatever. But what I can do is help them get specific about what they want to provide for their kids. And when almost every mom that I hear or that I talk to says, oh, I want to help my kids with college. That's like an incredibly common thing. And I'm like, what do you mean by that? And they're like, oh, I don't know, just whatever and whatever they end up doing, I want to be able to help. And I'm like, but let's get more specific about that. What if they go to a state school and they live at home? Are you, in that scenario, would you want to pay for all of their expenses, their tuition and all that stuff? Well, what if they wanted to go to an out-of-state school and it was a lot more expensive and they needed to rent an apartment? What are you willing to do? There has to be some sort of limits generally. And so what is it that is it really important that you give your kids a total free ride to college, or do you want to just provide a flat amount per semester and they can use that for whatever they need? It can be whatever you want it to be, but the possibilities are helping kids with college could mean, oh, I give them a few $1,000s every semester, or that could be, I'm getting into hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt for my children's education. It could be all along the spectrum. And so that's what I encourage people to think about. You should have that figured out before the time comes to when you actually need to start writing some checks, because if you don't have a plan and you're just paying for stuff as it comes along, you could wake up and be like, oh my gosh, I just spent $100,000 and I still have 2 other kids that need to go to college. There just needs to be some intention around it.
Definitely, definitely. One thing I say it often, everybody has different goals, different values. So there's no one right answer when planning for college. Every family is different from one another. But I also think that it's very important, is to what you were saying, to being intentional, to start thinking about that plan and have an honest talk with your kids about it. And what you can afford and what you want the goal to be, and then work together with your child towards that goal. I say it all the time, but too often decision day comes May 1st and kids are crying and parents are crying because then at the last second they realize they just can't afford it. If anything, definitely think about it up front and work together towards finding the right schools.
And I think parents can talk to their kids about their goals, like the kids' goals, because maybe their goal is, I want to live by the beach because I want to drink beer on the beach or whatever. Or maybe their goal is, I want to go to the best possible engineering school because I want to work for this incredibly prestigious firm or whatever. Their goals could be across the board too. And that would be a really important conversation to have. You share your goals as to what you want to provide, and they share their goals as to what they're trying to accomplish with their college experience. And think of just having open communication about that could really help. And in the money department too.
Well, definitely, because ultimately it does come back to finances, but it's all very emotional. Like we were saying earlier, we're moms. We all want to give the best to our kids, but it's like balancing that, finding the right balance between the emotions and wanting to do it all, and the finances, and being realistic.
Absolutely.
So what do you see? We're talking about this, but it's not just the mom. It's the dads too. It's the married couple, married families. It's everybody that could potentially have these issues with not setting goals early enough. When do you think? I help families save money on the cost of college. You're on the side of helping people save for college. Yeah. So what do you suggest? When the kids are young?
I think, I don't know. So my twins are 4. I opened 529s for them shortly after they were born because my husband and I had a conversation about it. Now, I don't expect everyone to be in the hospital after giving birth thinking about, oh, what are my college planning goals? But earlier is always better, but I don't think it's ever too late to start that conversation. And it doesn't, and like you said, it's not just moms, it's married couples. I think it's equally as important for them to identify their goals and to communicate their goals to each other, because oftentimes parents have conflicting goals when it comes to education. My husband and I had this conversation where he thinks the kids should just pay for all their own college expenses because that's how it was with him. And I'm like, well,
And
no,
that's not even possible nowadays.
no, and I know. And I'm like, well, no, because this was my experience. And so even a married couple that's still married has difficulty coming to an agreement about those goals. Imagine if you're divorced and you're trying to figure this out with an ex that you don't even like. It's hard, but it's something that if you intend to support your kids in any way with college, it's important to think about that as early as humanly possible. But maybe give yourself a break. Don't worry about it when you're still in the hospital after giving birth.
No. I was just on the phone with a client today who unfortunately is in the middle of a divorce. And we were talking about her options. And I said to her, even though one is getting ready to go to college, another one's in high school, I'm like, you could still open up a 529. It could still grow. It shouldn't be invested the most aggressively if it's going to be used soon.
Right.
But it's still a good move to put it into a 529. Do you agree?
Yeah, there's still some tax benefits to be had, even if you're not going to have years and years of taking advantage of those tax benefits. Every little bit helps. So if you're able to save on taxes just for a couple of years, then why not? Every dollar counts.
No, we were talking about student loans and said earlier about how it's virtually impossible for the kids to just pay on their own. Students are only allowed to take out up to $5,500 in student loans per year for their freshman year. Then it goes up to $6,500 sophomore year and $7,500 for junior and senior years. But how hard is it to find schooling that will fit into that $5,500?
I don't know any school these days. Even like a community college is shockingly more expensive than it was when I went.
Right. No,
it was $11 a unit when I went to community college.
The cost of college has definitely been increasing and outpacing inflation as far as divorce goes. So while they're thinking about college and then potentially retirement, what else should they be thinking about?
Well, I think when someone gets divorced, everything changes. Their entire financial situation changes. Their goals change. Literally everything changes. And so if you've always thought, it's always been the plan that we're going to help the kids with college or whatever, it's really important that you get up to speed on your new financial situation. And maybe you will end up needing to adjust your goals. But divorce can be one of those moments in life that the decisions that you make during the divorce and right after the divorce can really set the stage for what your finances are going to look like in the future. And I see, and there's I have a ton of clients who are getting divorced while their kids are in college or are about to start college. Really, it's right there. It's something that has to be dealt with right then. And I'm like, this is the time when you need to be extra cautious about these big financial decisions that you're making. And it's an emotional time. And when you're getting divorced and there's kids, it's extra emotional and the kids are emotional. And it adds this extra layer of complexity to this incredibly important financial decision. And so it's really important to take a step back, to reassess your situation, reassess your goals. And if you're having a hard time figuring out, well, how much can I actually afford? And how is this going to impact me in the long run? You can get help on that. There are all sorts of people like us and people like me that can help with the figuring out how the college goals fit in with the overall goals. Really getting some help with that is so worth the time and the expense of working with someone if it can set you up for a financial future that's a lot better than it otherwise would be if you just winged it.
Right. I've had clients literally say to me that I helped them sleep better at night because they didn't have to worry anymore. It's important for your financial health, your emotional health, to make sure everything is in order and you're doing things the best way possible to help with your future as well as the kids' futures.
Absolutely. And I financial stuff is, when that is weighing on your mind, that's not good. That's taking away mental resources from other things that you need to be using your brain for, like working or talking to your face. It's if financial concerns are taking up space in your brain, you can help alleviate that. That's not hopeless. You can get help with that, and you can get things cleared up to where you don't need to worry about it, and you can sleep at night. Tell
us a little bit, how did what's your why? Why did you get involved in working with the clientele that you do?
So I've been in the business for 15 years. And by the business, I mean financial advising, like wealth management. And I was always with the big firms for 12 of those years. And when you work for the big firms, they don't really have niches that you serve. So if I at that time said, oh, I'm just going to work with women, that probably wouldn't have gone over well, because you just kind of take whoever has enough money to meet the minimums. And I always loved working with women who were new to managing their own finances. That was always my favorite type of client to work with. Women that had gone through a divorce or their spouse passed away, and they were really scared to manage finances on their own. And when COVID happened, and a lot of people just kind of reassessed their life goals when COVID happened. But I was like, oh, wouldn't that be amazing if I just worked with my favorite type of client, if I just worked with newly single women? And I figured out I can actually do that. I didn't know that was actually possible. I thought that was like a make-believe dream. But yeah, I was like, oh, I'm going to do that. That's the most gratifying kind of work that there is to me. And once I did that, once I was like, nope, I'm just working with women, everything, I feel like I have my dream job. I couldn't be happier.
Excellent. I'm going to wrap up today's episode. Rachael, it's been fabulous. Where can everybody find you?
So they can visit my website. It's trueworthfp.com. And there's a big button at the top right where you can book a free strategy session. And I encourage people to take advantage of that. I'm always happy to have a chat with people and help point them in the right direction, even if it's not working with me. That's a good place to go. And then also they can follow me on social media. I'm on Instagram at trueworthfp. I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn. So that's a good place to connect with me too.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you everyone for joining us, and look forward to seeing you next time on College Financial Preps Preparing for College podcast. Bye.